3.
Hey, who turned out the lights?
Yep, that's the story we're doing tonight.
Hey, who turned out the lights? Hey, who turned out the lights?
Okay, that's not funny, Bill.
Hey, who turned out the lights?
Knock it off.
Hey, who turned out the lights? Oh, hey, the bulb burned out.
Screw you, Bill.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to the 100th episode. No, wait. Have we done Lungbearer yet? Drawing a blank, I see. How about Zagreus? No Zagreus. Deep Breath? Ronnie Elite? Oh, that's not out yet. Hasn't been announced. Oh, I know what episode this is. Welcome to the 61st production of an Unearthly podcast, featuring Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead, recording live on June 27, 2014. I am the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell,
Hello.
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Oh, it's a pleasure.
and Aaron Romeo Moon Burke.
Hello.
You can follow us on twitch.tv/madmat2185, twitter.com/unearthlypod, facebook.com/unearthlypodcast, and youtube.com/maninblack-reviews. In New Who news, the ending of the Series 2 finale, Doomsday, has been voted the greatest moment in sci-fi, horror, and fantasy by readers of SFX.
Really? The greatest?
Yeah, I wouldn't particularly. I mean, I don't hate the scene, but I wouldn't consider it the greatest moment of Doctor Who, even.
Yeah, much
I don't
less.
know.
See better things.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a 250 poll.
Yeah.
I'm thinking some people who were dragged kicking and screaming in Doctor Who, this is their rose-colored glasses moment. That's what I'm kind of thinking.
It beat Puny God.
I mean, I know a lot of people feel like it's their favorite Rose scene, but even then, I feel like there are better Doctor Who scenes. Like, even ignoring the rest of sci-fi.
No, I'm looking at the top 10 greatest moments that this beat. Number 10, Back to the Future. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Oh, what?
Oh, yeah.
It beat that?
Number 9, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Dumbledore's death.
Ooh.
Oh.
Number 8, The Matrix. Neo dodges bullets in the bullet time scene.
What?
Oh, my God. Really?
Seriously?
Number 7, Game of Thrones. The Red Wedding.
Oh.
Number 5, Blade Runner. Roy Batty's Tears in the Rain
that's-
speech.
What?
That's a
What?
That's a
What?
Number 5, Star Wars. The Empire Strikes Back. Luke learns that Darth Vader is his father.
What?
Really?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Number 4,
Oh, my
Firefly. Mal Reynolds kicks a bad guy into Serenity's engine intake from the train job.
And honestly, that would not be my top Firefly moment either.
Yeah, mine either. Number 3, Alien, the chestburster.
What?
Number 2, Avengers Assemble, Puny God, the Hulk owns Loki. AKA put out the Loki.
I don't think Puny God is really should be up that high. I mean, it should be, like, pretty high, but...
A lot of people really love that scene. Like, it's also the most recent thing on this list, I think, except for maybe Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
Yeah.
And then number 1, Doctor Who, the Doctor and Rose say farewell at Bad Wolf. It's not even her getting sucked in. It's the actual goodbye scene.
Where they're
Yeah,
leaning up
that's
against the wall? Where he's
no,
No,
no.
no.
It's
Where
the scene at the beach,
The
Aaron.
epilogue.
Oh.
Yeah,
Where he comes back to watch to
yeah,
say goodbye to her. This
yeah.
is the
To, to
you know
be
why this
honest,
scene is number one? This scene is
hmm,
number one because Rose Tyler
I thought it
fade
was
away.
because of Tenant fangirls.
No,
They get to
but
pretend they're
I'm
Rose
talking about
Tyler at the beach.
I'm talking about the line Rose Tyler.
Hmm.
and then
I think he
vanishes.
might say
Yeah,
I don't think some people write it with an I, but I'm pretty sure he never verbalizes the word I.
I think he starts to say something that sounds like an I, but cuts out halfway through the
Yeah.
syllable. But either way, yeah, it's
Oh,
not even my favorite. It's not even my
here's
favorite scene from Doomsday.
Yeah.
here's an interesting note from the article. Anthony Head, Robert Rodriguez, and J.J. Abrams all agree that number three should be number one.
What was number 3 again?
The
The
chest
chest
burst.
burster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, here's what I say. I challenge everyone here to come up with one Doctor Who and one non-Doctor Who thing that they would put in on this top 10 list.
first of all, I don't even have to leave the episode of Doomsday to find a better thing than this.
Okay. I think I know what you're thinking about.
Which scene? Tell me, Bill.
Pest control.
That's the one.
Nice.
That would be my choice from Doomsday alone. I can think of a half dozen from Doctor Who alone, from any series, that I would prefer over Bad Wolf Bay.
In particular, off the top of my head, in just Who Alone, probably one of the more memorable ones I've heard. Probably the second Doctor speech. The really popular one where he talks about how their life is unique to anyone else in the universe.
Yeah,
Aaron, what Doctor Who moment would you put there?
I would put Tom Baker holding up the 2 electrodes in Genesis of the
Oh, that's a
Daleks.
good one too.
very good choice. Very good choice.
I'm
Mhm.
kind of thinking. I'm not decisive on this, but I'm even kind of thinking the prototypical version of this scene from 1964 that this scene was based on.
The I will come back
One
scene.
day I will come back.
Yeah, that would be my first Doctor choice. My second Doctor choice would be the plea against the Time Lord speech.
Mhm.
Third Doctor choice. Boy, better
I,
than
I,
this scene.
I would go with his walking into the cave in Planet of the Spiders.
Okay. Either that or his just post regeneration bit. Either way. Fourth Doctor, I can think of a dozen, including Aaron's, including the holding the key to time speech
Mm-hmm.
with the Black Guardian. I can think of a dozen from their Fifth Doctor. Oh, probably his execution speech in Caves of Androzani.
Yeah. Or I was actually
Um,
thinking. I was thinking the opposite end of that episode, where he's essentially going into suicide pilot mode in order to save Perry.
yeah. Either way.
I forget the exact wording, but he's basically like, I don't give a damn what else happens. I'm getting what I'm getting.
Sixth Doctor. Okay, we'll skip the Sixth Doctor.
Oh, hey, now there's a couple
Seventh
good
Doctor
scenes.
addresses Davros in remembrance of the Daleks,
Yeah,
and pretty
that's a
much
particularly
a
epic
half
one.
dozen scenes from the following season.
It
Um,
was a good
Eighth
season.
Doctor. Okay, we'll skip the
We
Eighth
can skip
Doctor
the
unless
Eighth
we want to
Doctor
use it.
on screen. Yeah. Or actually,
These
bring
shoes.
me knitting.
Hmm?
Bring me knitting.
Bring me knitting.
Yes, bring me knitting. Okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay, I will put that up there. Yeah. Ninth Doctor. The scene versus the Dalek in
Yes.
Dalek where he's across the screen. You
We are
would
the
make a good
same.
Dalek scene.
I know what you deserve.
That one too. Both of those
Just
scenes.
thinking
Both
about that
speech
scene,
scenes with the Dalek,
just thinking
yes.
about that scene sends chills down my spine.
David Tennant, I can think of a dozen scenes I would rather pick above Doomsday. I could actually go almost by season. Doomsday was series 2. Let's see. Series 2 probably ooh, I'm actually having trouble. Actually, probably from the very first episode where he's basically going to uninfect everybody. Is one good moment.
Yeah,
Trying
I'm
to
like, honestly,
remember.
if I were to try to think of my favorite my favorite scene in that season, it would be pest control.
Yeah, it is a very good scene. But then we get up to the
Or
third series.
or even when Rose introduces herself to Dalek Sec.
And then we get the third season, and we get um the bit from Human Nature, Family of Blood, or the
Yes.
yes. Um, that is a epic scene in my
Or hell, I
opinion.
mean, and I'm like, and if people are going to vote one from that season, it would probably be the Don't Blink video.
Yes.
Mm.
Either way, it's still better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Series 4. God, do we even need to mention Series 4? There are
Right.
so many scenes in Series 4, including the finale of that.
The
Yeah.
finale, or even the episode before the finale, just the entirety of Turn Left.
Yeah.
Entirety of Turn Left. But if we're going to go by a scene, the epic scene of piloting the Earth home in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Or
mean,
hell, I
yeah.
mean, or just the scenes of like
The
Sarah,
Doctor faces.
Sarah Jane, Captain, or should I say Torchwood, the Sarah Jane and Sarah Jane Adventures team, and the Prime Minister joining the Doctor.
And meeting the Doctor, and then the face off with Davros
Hmm.
over the screen as he interrupts their call.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good, very good Doctor Who scenes that deserve to be in the greatest moments bit. But
Did you leave out Matt Smith
even
on
I,
purpose?
as much of a pure raw fanboy, will admit that the aliens, the chestburster scene from Alien, or Darth Vader telling Luke he's his father,
Yeah, those are
are going to
much
be
better.
higher on the greatest moments because they had more effect.
Yes.
Right. Now, guys,
And the Blade Runner speech, for Christ's sake.
now if this was your personal list, could you each have one thing that's not Doctor Who you would put on it? Because I know what mine is, and I know
Okay.
that it's not popular enough in mainstream media to make it on that list, but I don't know what it would be.
All right,
I need a few moments to digest and think.
Okay.
I've got one. Although it might get me a little bit of hate.
Oh.
Wait, what is this bill? Hang on.
One
Finding-
thing that's not Doctor Who that you would put in that top 10 of sci-fi, horror, and fantasy.
Sci-fi, horror, and fantasy?
Yeah, it's any
Oh,
of
now
the
it's
three.
gotten even bigger. Okay.
Yeah.
Sci-fi, horror, and fantasy.
Which is what
Um,
makes me sad that Alien is the only horror movie referenced on there.
Alien is also a sci-fi movie.
It's also sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah, this is almost all. There's very little horror represented in this. I would have to take a
There's-
look at the entire 250 list and
That's
see
because
where.
horror is a lot more niche than sci-fi or fantasy.
True. Yeah, and my choice is sci-fi too. My choice for this list would be Kirk and Spock at the end of Star Trek 2.
Okay.
Don't
You're saying
Admiral.
you are now and have always been?
Yes, the death scene. And I know it's going to get me some hate because they just kind of lampshaded it in a way in Into Darkness. But
I think it's time now. There was a scene in Godzilla, the newest one, where I was sitting in the theater holding myself back from quoting that line because it would make me a giant dick.
But it is such an epic scene. It was the fact that in that particular movie they already had rumored Spock's death, gave him the fake wham at the beginning, and then hit him with the full whammy at the end.
Right.
Probably it's one of my greatest sci-fi moments personally, and it would top the majority of this list.
Aaron, you got yours?
It's gonna sound really cheesy, but one of my favorite parts, and I'm actually gonna go with the horror one. One of my favorite things in horror is the opening to House on Haunted Hill, the old Vincent Price version.
Ooh.
With his head, his head is like kind of floating over the image of the house, and he's like making the announcement of be careful or be wary of when you enter this house. It's like but it's so iconic of like horror movies back then, and it's
Didn't they
really
like? Didn't they like spoof that entry for the beginning of the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo?
Sort of, yes.
yeah. It's been spoofed a lot. It's been referenced a lot. I'm sure. I don't even know if it was I don't even know how original it is itself, but it's one of my favorite parts. It's one of my favorite horror movies.
Okay, so I've gone. Aaron's gone. That leaves you two.
Yeah.
Would you mind if
Yeah,
I did
you're
a
Matt.
fantasy reference?
Go ahead.
ahead.
Although I'm surprised at you, Matt. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm me too.
And I will paraphrase the beginning of this particular part. Crom, I've never prayed to you before.
Oh yes,
You know exactly where I'm going!
yes.
Most epic and most in character speech in the entire movie.
Yes.
Battle pleases you, Crom.
Oh, okay. There we go. I was sitting
Conan the
there like,
Barbarian.
right. I was sitting there at first like,
The
why do I know this
Schwarzenegger.
reference? Yeah. At first I was like, I can't place the reference, but I know it. And then when he said Crom, I was like, that's why I know it. Okay.
Crom,
Bill,
grant
what
me
about you?
one thing.
Okay.
Grant me revenge. And if you not listen, then to hell with you.
Pretty much this one scene. Okay. Well, the whole sequence leading up to it, but particularly this. This is God.
You
Nightmare
lost
on
me.
Elm Street.
Ah, okay.
Oh, okay.
This is God. This is
And-
God.
And nobody mentioned "Fly, You Fools."
Oh yeah.
There wasn't a single Lord of the Rings idea. I'm actually kind of shocked
No.
at that.
Nah, I mean,
It's too easy. People forget about the classics.
honestly, the most memorable thing about those books for me was the songs and or poems, depending on how you read them.
I
the
do remember being
prophecies-
bemused
the
by the songs
prophecies
in The Hobbit.
And Tom Bombadil and such.
Where did you see the bit that said that J.J. Abrams and Peter Jackson, etc., contributed
It's-
to?
It's right below the YouTube video on the article.
Oh, okay, I see it. Okay.
The first thing that drew my eye was I saw Buffy the Vampire Slayer in italics, and I'm like, there's not any Buffy scenes on that top 10 list. And then I realized they were just referring to Tony Head.
There has to be a few in the top 250.
Yeah, there
There
has to
should
be, yeah.
Yeah. Anywho.
Probably involving
no-
Spike.
That's enough on, yeah. Right? In classic Who news, this one might actually be a first. Turns out the actress who played a Time Lord who never regenerated on screen died after agreeing to do some more stories. A new incarnation of her was created, and she's still going to do the same stories. Mary Tam actually kind of had something similar to that, but not quite. But here I'm talking about Big Finish's latest announcement, Ronnie Elite. And we were talking for quite a few times about the idea of this, and unfortunately, I guess they had the same idea, but implemented it a little too late.
Mm.
Yeah, with the Ronnie, we've never been told what regeneration she's been on.
No,
Oh, wow.
you know that she's the same age as the Doctor.
Oh, wow. It was literally the Ronnie Elite was written for Kate Amara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was like weeks out from recording it when she died. So it's another, Tom Baker, Sarah Jane Smith story. Because Tom Baker had agreed to come back to Big Finish to record with Elizabeth Sladen for some
Wow.
Dr. Sarah adventures, and she died weeks before recording.
Wow, the lead up to this story has
Yeah.
been nothing but one death after another, hasn't it?
And the thing with this one is, I thought this news was fake because I was just sitting there like, there's no way Big Finish, after Kate O'Mara dying with them never having made an announcement that she was going to work with them, that they would all of a sudden decide to write in this new version of the Ronnie right after her death. But I'm like, no, apparently Kate O'Mara was going to do it, and she wanted them to continue even without her. That's why they're doing it.
Okay, so
Oh, it's
so
with her
she was
blessing even before her passing. Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, she was basically going to do a regeneration story for the Ronnie. Awesome.
Sweet.
was she going? Does it say that?
I'm kind of reading it a little bit.
Okay. I think it's more just the fact that when she realized she couldn't do it, she still wanted them to continue without her.
Probably gave what few lines she could before they had
Yeah,
regeneration. Then
yeah,
maybe.
That
she
would be
died.
awesome, and if so, I'm kind of glad they're keeping it secret because that would be an amazing surprise picking up the CD.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you
I'm
actually hear
hoping
KMR for at least a few lines, and all of a sudden, the regeneration. It's like, oh.
I'm hoping that this might lead to a cameo appearance in the new series. That would be awesome.
That yeah,
That
of
would be
course.
cool.
You do realize if
That
she
would
appeared
rock
in
our
the new
world.
if well yeah, if the Ronnie appears in the new show, they're going to have to take her off from big. Well,
It depends if they do a
slow her
side
down.
contract. I mean, Nick Briggs
Yeah.
is still doing Dalek voices
Well,
for
I
Big
mean, like
Finish.
how much has Davros appeared in Big Finish since 2008?
Not good.
A couple of times.
Hmm.
Still voiced by Terry Malloy.
Right, right.
So it's still
But
technically classic Davros.
I think they had to cancel the I Davros line when they announced him in the new show, though.
Not that I'm aware of. I thought they were done with that.
Uh,
Not certain. I just
Yeah,
know that it
I
ended.
I thought that was a mini series, not planned to be a full out
Oh
line.
no, it wouldn't have been like 300 episodes or anything, but I feel like it would have gone on a little bit longer had they been able to.
Yeah,
I might be mistaken.
I don't think that's an issue because that's a classic villain moving forward.
Mhm.
If they now, I think they would run into issues if Big Finish wanted to do something with like the Vashta Narada or the
Right.
Jadoon or God help them, the Slovene or any of the new series villains. That would be an issue, but taking a
Speaking of which,
classic character,
in the opposite direction, I was just thinking the other day, what if Iris Wildthyme had a cameo appearance on Doctor Who?
I hate Iris Wildthyme, so I'm glad she doesn't. Basically, River's Song is Bernice Summerfield and Iris Wildthyme combined into one character. And it's really the Iris Wildthyme part that I hate, because she was exceedingly over the top, in my opinion. Well, okay, no, I'm sorry. Bernice Summerfield and Iris Wildthyme. Only apparently Iris Wildthyme then split off, and the other half of her is Miss Frizzle from Magic School Bus.
Yeah. And Iris is played by
Metacrisis
Katie
abound.
Manning, you said?
What's that?
Isn't Iris played by Katie Manning? Am I thinking right?
It possibly. I actually have to take a look for that.
no clue. Couldn't tell you.
I'll tell you in a moment.
But by the way, yeah, so the Ronnie Elite is part of the regular Doctor Who main range for Big Finish fans. So if you're looking for more of the Ronnie, keep an eye
Is
out.
that
You
actually going to be a series, or is that just an episode?
No, it's a single audio drama at this point.
Hmm.
It's available for pre-order, but it's part of the regular main range.
Oh, really? They don't. Oh, there we go. I was going to say she was not actually listed on the TARDIS wiki. You freaking yeah. Apparently, she's Katie Manning. Yep. Although she's not the only one that's done the character,
Ah,
because apparently Maria McErlane did it at 1.2.
got you.
Anywho.
And I think that about wraps us up for news. We've got no awards, no deaths, and no birthdays.
No runs, no hits, no errors. Um. I don't think I see anything.
Don't see anything? But wait, Bill, there is some news. Guess what? The BBC has confirmed the new Doctor is going to be starting August 23rd, Saturday. It's so
What?
awesome.
We must have been over this already.
No, we haven't.
But we must have. Weeks ago, possibly months ago. This is why I should keep my time travel diary in chronological order, but I'm pretty sure.
No, I mean, we discussed the possibility of it. I did kind of hint that this was going to be the issue, but, well, spoilers.
All the
One
more
might
reason for
have-
everyone to.
One
Go ahead.
might have happened to pop into the future and actually seen the upcoming thing in the Radio Times.
Yeah.
One might not have.
This is all the more reason for everyone to go to GeekCon and meet us there.
Take a
Doing
deep
our first
breath.
episode
Deep
live.
breath.
Yes, we will be reviewing the first episode live in person. This will also be the first time that the three of us, Aaron, Matt, and myself, who all know each other in real life, meet Bill in person.
Yay! Like I said, deep breath, guys. That's actually the name of the episode that
Yes,
will
it
be premiering.
Mm. And yes, for all those wonderful references, at the end of the podcast, I will be kicking Bill in the dick.
But we
What
need
references?
Bill. We need him to pay our hotel bill.
What references?
It was a DBZ abridged reference.
Ah,
And it's all those crossover references that you keep making.
ah.
Oh,
You're not saying something that I mentioned today. You're just
no,
No,
I'm not
just
mentioning
overall,
that today.
Bill, driving Randy slowly mad.
You've been driving me mad now for months with the whole actually I think for about a year now with the entire Seventh Doctor
Sith Doctor
Lord of
is
the Rings. Yes. So for those comments, I will be ending the podcast by kicking Bill in the dick.
Our first episode of the year, and it'll be the last.
He won't die from it. This isn't Ender's Game.
Wait, someone died in Ender's Game from being kicked in the dick?
there was more to it, but I'm sure it appeared that way in the movie. I don't remember. The movie was kind of forgettable.
Wah, wah, wah.
Was that bad, huh?
The movie was basically an hour and a half music video without necessarily having, like, in terms of the directing, not in terms of having a whole ton of music. It was there for a spectacle.
So was Pacific Rim, and that was awesome. Which,
Yeah, but
by the way,
Pacific
has been
Rim was
greenlighted for a
edited like-
sequel.
Pacific Rim was directed like a giant monster movie. This was directed like you expected David Bowie with some glittering balls to jump onto the screen.
And start singing Dance Magic
Let's
Dance.
not continue on the topic of David Bowie's glittering balls, please.
Yes, let's do. Come on. I can talk all night about David Bowie's glittering balls.
Sounds like someone wants to watch Labyrinth again, Randy.
I don't have it on DVD.
Oh, I can lend you my copy.
Sweet, thanks, Matt.
I think I might have a copy of it. Or is that Legend? I have one or the other, or maybe both.
I have both. I have director's cut of Legend.
So before we get much farther, I think Aaron has now watched Series 7B.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I have. I don't remember a lot of it because I was working on the Otaku Theater summaries.
Yeah, I did put
A
her
lot
to
of
work
this anime
today.
I haven't actually seen. I just felt
Right.
like it would match the theme.
Well,
nicely.
do you have a best and a worst?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I do.
Everybody else in this room has a worst, but we're not going to tell it to you if you haven't guessed it already.
I've already guessed it.
Okay, so best.
Best? I would have to say Name of the Doctor.
Seriously?
Yeah. I think I really like that one. Especially
God.
knowing what's coming up now.
Yeah.
Having seen Night of the Doctor, Day of the Doctor, and Time of the Doctor. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's
we're on
not the
all sides.
strongest step up to get ready, but it isn't like god awful like certain
It's
other
not
things that
terrible.
season.
Now,
Gosh, what
my
was
issues with it is I really don't like it with the whole, yes, we're looking at my death. It's part of my issue with Series 6. And the second part that I dislike is the fact that it had no real resolution.
Yeah. No real resolution, and the fact that nothing
True.
had. They were like, oh, this is going to be a dramatic thing with a lot of gravity, and it never happened. He's like, oh, I'm on a
for
giant
me?
paradox. I'm walking on my own grave. That's the TARDIS.
Yeah, he dumps into his own time stream, which is supposed to be a giant paradox suicide thing. Winds up inside his own bit with Clara, sees
And
the self
he
he
ends up in a
forgot.
trailer. He ends up in a trailer for the next episode.
Let me see here.
Yeah, it's never resolved.
I would have to say the worst one would be Journey to the Center of the TARDIS.
Agreed.
Amen.
Yeah.
You will not hear any arguments
like,
on that one.
I don't even remember watching half of it, and then I did sit down. I'm like, oh yeah, they convinced their brother that he was a robot.
Yeah,
I think because all I was going off of, because I was bouncing between this and working on GeekCon stuff for the program book. All I remember is what Last Angry Geek went over with when he reviewed the episode. And I was just like, oh yeah, this really isn't that good.
The one thing that stands out to me in that episode that there's no such thing as editing or sense involved in it is fucking fuel rods.
yeah.
Don't ask me why I picked that one thing to fixate on, but
Oh yeah, I obsess on it too. But I also obsess on the fact that the characters that we're given, who's not the Doctor and Clara, have absolutely no appeal at all.
Not a single
I
redeeming
just, I
quality
don't
amongst the three of
understand.
them.
How
You
can
start
anybody
rooting
be
for the monsters to kill them. You don't
yeah,
like
see,
them
that's,
that
I'm like,
much.
and that in and of itself is not a thing that bothers me. But the fact that the rest of the episode, if the rest of the episode is bad, the supporting cast should be entertaining, and they're not.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
there's
Like if
nothing. No, okay, no, I
if the
did give it a
episode
half
if the
star.
episode if the episode was good, I would not give a shit about the supporting cast being bad.
I gave it a half star. I will hold by that half star only because the library set was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty cool.
Now,
Sets do
was-
not equal happiness.
That is the one and only redeeming thing. It is the one reason I cannot give it an absolute 0, and I can't give it a rating less than a half, Matt.
and
While that adds up to you, Randy, it doesn't add up enough to me.
now, if I remember properly, I think we were unanimous on Bells of St. John as our favorite from 7B.
Yeah,
See,
Am I
I
remembering that properly?
didn't pay too much attention to that one because I was working on, like I said, the GeekCon stuff, so it really just played in the background. I
well,
watched
that was. I remember watching that one. We watched that one at a friend's house, actually a friend's brother's house, while she was house sitting.
Okay.
And I remember thinking that my whole thought on that one was, "Wow, Moffat's got his groove back,"
Yeah,
because I thought that was a pretty good episode.
Well,
And
who
then
actually wrote that one?
Moffat.
that was
Moffat.
Moffat.
Okay.
That
and
was
then
actually
and
Moffat's
then
episode.
following that, it kind of descended into mediocrity pretty quickly.
Yeah,
It was a lot of episodes that either started good and ended
like
poor,
three- yeah, they were
started
basically
poor and
like-
ended good.
there were basically like 3 episodes in a row that had both good and bad things to them. Interesting thing about Nightmare in Silver is that it ended up on Doctor Who magazine's top 40 worst Doctor Who episodes below Journey to the Center of the TARDIS.
That's bullshit.
Which I think, yeah, it's absolutely bullshit. There's at
And I'm-
least,
I'm kind of
I
wondering
could
if the
probably name off
voters
20
mixed it up.
episodes that are far worse than that.
I'm kind of wondering if the voters mixed it up with Silver Nemesis. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I have my own problems with it. I think I liked it less than either of you, but I still would not possibly conceive of putting it on the 40 worst of all time.
Yeah.
I
All right,
like.
I need to restate my thing. I mixed up Bells of St. John with Hyde. I didn't pay too much attention to Hyde, and I did actually get a chance to see Bells of St. John a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the first episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
the one with the
essentially the
Wi-Fi.
introduction. It's
Yep,
the introduction of the version of Clara that
that becomes the
stays.
companion.
Yeah.
Hmm. I
Yep.
did like Cold War. I liked how that at least started out. I didn't quite like how it ended.
A- I'm actually the exact opposite, Aaron. I hated how it started out. It was trying to be Hunt for Red October and failed.
I,
It
I,
Yeah.
I am now a fan of Front for Red October, but it was alright at the beginning and really good at the end for me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's tried to do a Cold War drama and it didn't really succeed in my opinion, but the second of it was kind of a Ridley Scott alien-esque thing and I really liked
You know
that.
what? It really should have been a two-parter with the first part as essentially a historical with a monster lurking in the background, and then the second part being the one that's actually about the ice war.
It
Ice
would
warrior.
Yeah,
have done it
except
a
for
lot
Moffat
Yeah.
good,
swore he
yeah.
wasn't going to do two-parters.
True. Yeah, which is
And
why
that's to
which
Moffat's
is why the,
detriment.
which is why the season pretty much ended with a three-parter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why didn't he want to do?
Because he
Because
knew.
yeah, because I believe there were either complaints or viewing figures dropped when there were multi-doctor episodes. I mean, multi-episode stories. I mean,
Mm.
Hmm,
So is he going to be
that's
doing
kind of a
two-parters
shame
this
because,
season?
yeah.
I don't know. Oh,
Yeah,
I know
because some stories
the first
need
the first
that
the
2
first
hours.
episode I think is going to be a two-parter aired as one. I don't know if it's a special or if it's a double episode,
It's a
but
feature-length episode,
Deep
yeah.
Breath is feature length, so it's like probably like End of Time Part 1 or Day of the
Mhm.
Doctor. But
Okay,
it might just be two episodes, a two-parter aired as one,
that's fine.
which would make it
Crimson.
the five Doctors almost.
Okay.
That's
I.
oh well, that's going to be too. Wow, that's going to be a
Huh.
bitch.
What?
What's that?
Well, remember we have to get this at the con, and we
Oh,
have to
well,
find hour and a half
yeah,
to watch it
and
all
it's
prior
going
to
to
the
be
podcast.
airing at 9 Central.
9 Central. Okay, so it's not going to
BBC
be
America.
done until
I don't know when the real BBC is doing it, but BBC
they're
America
probably doing
airing
it at
at
their
9
normal
Central.
time, which is like 6, 7,
Oh,
Greenwich Meridian time.
so that would be early afternoon in
Yes.
America for those of us who are able to watch the BBC One version.
Yeah. Wow.
But then again,
That's
we
going
can't.
to be an
Then
issue.
again, we can't do the podcast while the episode is airing or before the episode is aired either. So
Yeah, that's going to be kind of an
that'll be
issue.
something we'll want to talk
That's
about.
something I'm going to have to talk to Zach about, our head of events,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and see if he can poke it and see if we can get a midnight or something start. Which will mean we'll get done at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we'll want to talk about.
Wait, do you guys have anything going on in viewings? Because you have
Not
fandom.
Saturday night. Friday night's our big night in viewings. Matt has
I thought
his
Saturday night. Don't you have fandom Insanity,
Um,
hun?
Friday
That's
night,
Friday
Saturday
night.
morning.
Okay,
All right,
Friday night, Saturday morning.
this is probably more of a BTS discussion. We might as well go
Okay.
on to
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
library.
okay. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. But just I didn't know that was an hour and a half.
Can I mention Crimson
I
Horror
was-
quick?
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
mentioning Crimson Horror.
Yeah, I liked how it started out and didn't like how it dragged on because essentially the mystery was over in the first, 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good chunk of my problem with that one is characterization as well as because the old lady was basically
Yeah.
doing it because she's evil.
She was doing
There
it
was-
because she's
there
evil.
was
The
no
doctor
real
sexually
motivation.
assaults his friend.
Yeah, there's several issues with that episode. But anything else you want to talk about on the 7B?
Not anything else other than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll warn you though, the Rings of Hakaten music will get kind of catchy eventually.
Yeah.
It grows on you.
Oh, yeah, you have
forgotten
to-
how it goes.
Now that you've watched Rings of Akaten, you need to rewatch Time.
time when they're back?
Rewatched.
Yeah, the Christmas special.
Okay.
Oh,
That
hold up.
that
I
and also
feel
you
like
should listen to the I believe it's Sylvester no I believe it's Colin Baker version of Rings of
oh
Cotton.
Oh.
Oh,
That big end
no,
yeah.
I think that
speech.
one was McCoy. I think that one was McCoy.
No,
I don't
McCoy
know.
was
I know.
the Stonehenge.
I'm not even sure now.
Yeah,
Hmm.
actually, they have
Colin
several
Baker.
doctors that have done the Stonehenge
Oh, okay.
speech.
No, we're talking about
I've
the
heard Tom Baker
Scott
do it.
Cotton
I've heard
speech.
Colin Baker do it. So,
Because I seem to remember McCoy up there having no idea what the context is, delivering the
hmm
lines, with no idea what's actually going on in the scene, about, having lost things you've never imagined and everything.
I
hmm
don't recall that with
it was
Sylvester.
something that somebody asked him to do at a convention, Matt.
Well, all of them were, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was, just a random clip, so it's not anything
Right.
that we've ever brought to an attention. It's out
Um,
there. You kind of have to hunt for it.
Before we go into the feature presentation, I wanted to do this, but I forgot to actually write it down or say anything. In sci-fi news, we have some news from Guillermo del Toro, and I wanted to bring that up.
Ah, yes, I know what
Pacific
this is.
Two pieces of news. The first is Pacific Rim animated series running from now until April 2017. The second bit of
Really?
news is Pacific Rim 2 in April 2017. I have a
Okay.
feeling this is probably going to end up being pushed back to summer, but either way, that's
Um,
news straight
I think
from the
it'll be
bull's
pushed back
mouth.
to May,
Mm.
but I don't think full summer.
Straight from the bull's mouth. Pardon
I
the
had
pun.
not heard about the animated series. I had heard about Pacific Rim 2. Um, I had not heard about the animated series. My roommate was complaining earlier that he had to wait until 2017 for Pacific Rim 2.
Godzilla 2 should be out by then, probably.
Boom, 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 boom.
And Jurassic Park 4 will be out by then if you really need your kaiju fix.
If you really need your giant monster fix of some sort.
Wait, they're making a Jurassic Park 4?
Yeah.
You're not in on that one?
Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
heard
it's been
rumors
it's
It's
been
about
coming out
announced
next
all over
I
the
year.
think I
place for
heard
like the last
rumors
couple
about it
months.
a long time ago.
It's been
I
Coming out
announced
next
all over the
year.
place for like the last month. A lot.
Oh. So, any information on what this animated series is?
I I think all he mentioned was more kaiju, more Jaegers. I don't think
I
he
mean,
really said anything else about it.
so it's basically like backstory stuff.
Um, I don't know.
They don't know.
I
Okay.
if
There's no
if
information rendered.
if
We have to
he's
wait and see, like everyone
as far
else
as
so
far as I
far.
know, the only announcement was like a 45-second video of Guillermo del Toro announcing it. I don't think there's been any articles or anything yet. If there are, I haven't read them. I'll say that at least.
TV tune along with continuation of the coming book series that started with Year Zero. Okay. All right.
Oh, they're doing more graphic novels then.
Yeah. She it helps sometimes to read the article.
Well, there wasn't an article that I saw. I only saw the video clip.
No, there was actual text above and below the video clip, Bill.
Ah,
You must look and read. Stop,
I
watch,
I think
and learn.
I think I
Look at
saw it.
all the glory around you.
I think it was something that I saw before work while I was in that half awake days, procrastinating going to work type of deal.
Well, that's all I saw my roommate for. He got up. I think he ate. He read that. He bitched, and he went back to bed. It happens. He's had a bad sleep day.
I have those.
I've
days.
had those too. I've been kind of in and out all day. We had people coming and putting in carpet all week this week.
Uh,
And it didn't help that we were, up until wee hours of the morning playing Minecraft.
well, that's your own darn fault.
Hey, it's fun. Especially when when you're doing it on a large screen in, a team. Just saying.
I only play alone. I'm always alone on Minecraft.
PC version.
Mm-hmm. There's no
We'll talk
PlayStation
at
version.
we'll talk after. Yes, there is actually.
Yeah, there's a PlayStation version.
Since when?
There's also a PlayStation version of
Earlier this year.
Terraria. Yeah,
Yeah, I
came
have
out not too long
Terraria
ago.
too. Terraria's fun.
We'll talk after the cast.
So
Yep.
does anybody like giving summary?
Okay, I can do the summary.
Okay.
Summary.
I watched it like almost right before we recorded. I think Aaron was still was watching Name at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we start off with the Doctor and Donna showing up in this huge, and I will actually say that again, huge library. Like a whole planet that's a library. Planet library.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's marveling about it. They're in the 51st century again. And he's marveling about all the achievement and stuff. And then he realizes that something's wrong. And the fact that the library is quiet. And not library quiet, tomb quiet. After he goes on a bit further, he hacks one of the databases and discovers the only humanoid life forms in the entire library is himself and Donna. However, if he changes the scan to check for life forms that are not humanoid, it turns out to be over a million, where the system basically can't track any further. So billions and billions.
Which makes sense if there are any bacteria on the planet.
Yeah, I know that. I was going to comment on that when we actually got into discussion. You beat me to the punch. Damn you, Bill. Anyway, then they basically wind up seeing lights starting to go out, and they kind of panic and run down, try to get through a door. The door's locked. They break through. And at the same time, this little girl is also seeing the library from a bizarre perspective. And she's in a room that starts battering the door. The door opens. The doctor looks at her, and she freaks out. And the Doctor and Donna are looking at a security camera, which powers down. This is kind of the first moment of what the fuck. The girl has collapsed and is screaming the library has been breached. And it turns out it's not the Doctor and Donna, it's a small team of archaeologists led by a rich, can I just say it, asshole.
Yes, go ahead. Call him an asshole.
Are there rich people in Doctor Who that aren't assholes?
Not
A
again.
few. One might argue that the character from the Doctor, the Witch, and the not the Doctor, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the A Christmas Carol was no longer an asshole, even though he was still rich by the end of it. But the Doctor had to put a lot of work into that. Anger, anger, gar. Don't fuck with people's personal timelines, David Moffat, you bastard. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, this team is apparently the rich guy is the man whose family built the library, and he wants them to sign non-disclosure. Meanwhile, the Doctor has kind of figured out what's gone on, and he's a little oh shit. He's telling them to freak out. And of these team, by the way, there is a woman that seems to know him. She's known as Professor Rivers Song.
Her first line is "Hello, sweetie."
Yes, it is. And the Doctor's a little put off by her, as he doesn't know her from the person next to her. And, and he's also trying to tell these people that they basically need to leave now, that they are in great danger. And they're basically looking at him like he's, jumping up and down, sporting gibberish. Which, he's the Doctor, so sometimes he kind of does. But he's telling them to put up the lights. River immediately complies, trusting him implicitly. The others are kind of like, who the hell are you? What the fuck are you doing here? Get the hell out of our library. And the Doctor's like, you need to leave now. This goes on for quite a little bit of time. Until one of them wanders off and gets her fool idiot self killed. I say idiot because she actually is not very bright. The character mentioned her father one time said she had the IQ of plankton and she was pleased. Now, this would be a joke, except she doesn't think it is. She's
No,
not that
no
bad.
word, no word on whether or not they're referring to the SpongeBob character.
Arg.
Anyway, she gets killed, and they have to spend a few moments, after which they start taking the doctor a little more seriously. She basically gets eaten alive, stripped to the bone within seconds. The doctor has mentioned the fact that these are the Vashta Nerada, piranhas of the air, basically microscopic creatures capable of stripping flesh, like high-powered acid or something. They don't fully explain it, but they're usually not that well concentrated, but apparently there's huge amounts within the library. This begins a kind of madcap chase on which people begin dying kind of one by one as they're taken over and eaten by the Vashta Nerada. Hence why we get a walking suit of basically pressure suit with a skeleton in it screaming, who turned out the lights? During this point, the doctor manages to reach a teleport system, which is behind a bunch of shops, and tries to teleport Donna into the TARDIS. It doesn't work. Not so much that she's still there. She appears in the TARDIS, screams, and vanishes. A moment later, the doctor sees one of these statues. There are several within there that have the face of a different person. One with Donna's face, telling her that Donna is no longer in the library. Donna has been saved. The doctor is, of course, freaking out, but doesn't have a lot of time to deal with it because they're still being pursued by the skeleton in a suit. They run around some more. Meanwhile, Donna has found herself in what looks to be kind of a stereotypical country village, where she's told that she's recovered from this horrific accident, and is being cared for by a man called Dr. Moon, whom we've seen previously with the little girl. The thing is, anytime Donna seems to think that something's off, Dr. Moon will say, no, this is what happened, and Donna will immediately believe it. And then you remembered. So she is introduced to a man, and in a flash, they're apparently married with 2 kids. And according to the Dr. Moon, 7 years have gone by in what seems to be what was a few minutes. Meanwhile, back at the library, the doctor is trying to hack a signal that he's noticed that is interfering with stuff. He briefly gets a vision of Donna, who at the same time gets a vision of the doctor, but that's cut off, and his screwdriver starts to be dampened. The doctor then realizes that the Moon, which was set up as an antivirus utility for the library's computer system, is blocking his screwdriver signal because it itself is communicating with something in the library. After they've lost a couple more people to the Vashta Nerada, and the doctor's had a chance to talk to one of them through these little neural transceivers that they all have that allows them to ghost after death, he discovers that the forests that contained the Vashta Nerada were basically pulped to make all the books in this planet-sized library. So they basically were born from the books. The doctor then realized, dealing with the computer, accidentally winds up setting the computer into a self-destruct mode. Meanwhile, Donna is talking to this mysterious woman in a black veil, who turns out to be the companion that died first, the idiot. Only she's not an idiot anymore. Apparently, there was a problem transcribing her into wherever they are, and her IQ got bumped probably by a great degree. She's now a genius. On the same point, her face has been distorted hideously. But she's basically proving to Donna that she's not in the real world. She's in cyberspace, a computer construct. The doctor realizes this more or less about the same time, that these people weren't safe, they were saved, as into a hard drive. To deal with this, they have to go to the computer core, which is revealed to be basically a little girl, the little girl, who was put into the system because she was dying and they wanted to give her a life of sorts. The doctor decides that he can reboot the computer by hooking his own mind into the system to give her a little more space to properly handle everything, because she's basically having a breakdown. He instructs River to go help the owner, the rich guy, prep for the evacuation of everybody, because they'll be basically getting jettisoned out of the system really quickly. When River leaves, the doctor makes a deal with the last person there, which turns out to have been taken over by the Vashta Nerada. We don't know for how long, because they have been communicating with this person for some time. But he basically, it threatens the doctor, and the doctor gives one of those epic speeches, "You're in the world's biggest library, the universe's biggest library, look me up." And the Vashta Nerada apparently does, and decides to give the doctor 24 hours to get everyone off the planet. River Song comes back at this point and basically knocks the doctor out, taking his place in the machine, because if the doctor dies with the machine, he'll have never met River, and all that time would never happen. So,
There's a quote in there. I don't know if you wanted to mention it now or later.
go ahead.
They quote essentially the Aztecs, where she tells him not to rewrite those moments, not one line. After he comments that time can be rewritten.
Anyway, he then mentions the fact that before the last time she had seen the doctor, he had taken her out to this, fabulous location, and was crying, and she didn't understand why, and now she does, because he knew it was her time to go. That would be the last time that version of the doctor would have seen her. And she basically electrocutes herself to restart the system. Everybody gets restored out of the machine, including Donna, and leaving the doctor standing there staring at what's left of River Song. Afterwards, while people are slowly getting teleported off the planet, 3 at a time, the doctor and Donna are trying to cope a little, because the doctor has basically just lost River, and Donna lost her husband, who she's assuming at this point was a computer construct. As they head off, you see Donna's husband look at her and try to start stammering out her name, but the teleport takes him too quickly. Then the doctor is sitting around thinking about stuff, goes to leave with Donna, and comes back and grabs the screwdriver, going, "Why? Why would I give her the screwdriver? I must have been thinking about this for ages. I would have had something." And he examines the screwdriver and finds a little device that has one of those little neural relays that basically saved River Song in it. Realizing what he must do, the doctor then hurries back down to the computer core, and at the last minute manages to download River into the computer core, where she's safe with the little girl and all of her companions. They all were saved. The doctor managed to save everybody. The impossible man. I think that's pretty much the end of the story.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
He snapped his fingers and walked into the TARDIS. The end.
Oh, yes, the whole snapping finger thingy.
Something that I was actually curious about is the man that Donna Noble does eventually marry is not the guy from the story.
No.
There's like no, or one of his ancestors, I guess he would have to be.
You can't really tell. I mean, this is, 30,000 years into the future.
No, I guess it could be one of his
3,000
ancestors.
years.
I just looked it up, and it's Sean Temple, who was played by a black actor. So I'm pretty sure.
you never know.
Basically, what she means is it's not a character played by the same actor.
No.
Yeah, it's not a character played by the same actor, and it's not like Well, I guess it could be an ancestor, but we
No,
don't know.
Donna spends the rest of the time basically knowing that she thinks that character was a creation until, of course, Donna forgets everything.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to remember the Donna that married Temple is not the same Donna that we're seeing in this show because she's lost everything.
Right.
Hmm.
She's
Sadly.
had to forget. Yeah, it's one of the most tragic endings to a companion in Doctor Who. It's
Even
a
worse
crying
than
shame.
dying, the fact that you had everything that you ever knew wiped from your head.
Yeah. Well,
Including mathematical excellence. No,
there is an old saying that a man is the sum of his memories. I'm sure that also applies to Donna, and that means without the memories, you're not the person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's she's still Donna's the Donna that we all know and love is dead. So and there's this other Donna, this previous version of Donna that's in her place.
This shell of a
I
Donna
feel
that
like
we once knew.
she's probably in a pocket watch if someone ever really wants to write that.
Yes, but if she ever remembered, her brain would explode.
I'm wondering if there's a way to write around that. I'm
Oh,
not
There's
yeah.
familiar
always a way to
enough.
write
Oh, there's
around
probably a
it,
dozen
but
ways to write around it.
Hmm.
it depends on who's writing.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't trust the Moffat to do it properly, so yeah.
No.
It
Mhm.
kind of depends. I mean, if he had already finished his 3 Sherlock scripts and was not on a deadline, okay, he can write it. But if he's trying to write 9 episodes in 6 months, no, go away.
Our issue with
We've
Moffat.
seen that happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of our issue with 7B, Aaron, is the fact that a lot of those episodes, the main issue they suffered was there should have been somebody that was a script editor going, no, this needs to be redone, this needs to be fixed.
Mhm.
And that's Moffat's job, and he wasn't doing it.
Very
Yeah.
obviously not doing it.
Well,
He
and it
was,
just I believe now that he is quite thoroughly burnt out on Doctor Who.
I think so.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not specifically Doctor. It's essentially, I mean, in
He's
2013, he had 2 movies he had to write himself, 2 more that he probably rewrote, plus what 3 episodes of Doctor Who during that same amount of time that were all, huge spectacles that each required
Yeah,
massive amount of energy.
I think he originally had 5.
Like in 2013, he had the premiere of A New Companion,
Mm-hmm.
the
He
series 7 finale, which was featuring the death of the Doctor, the
mm-hmm.
50th
Mhm.
anniversary special,
Mm-hmm.
the 11th Doctor regeneration episode,
Mm-hmm.
whichever Sherlock episode he wrote, and the 2 Sherlock episodes that he probably rewrote half of.
Yep, and I know at one point I think he had the Crimson Horror slated for his own writing and basically said, "I don't
Yeah.
have time for this.
Yes,
Mark,
he
take it,
wanted
please."
to. He wanted to, so he gave it to his right hand,
Mark Gaddis,
His,
yeah.
which
his toady.
who I honestly like better as an actor than a writer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he did write, an adventure in space and time.
Yeah, but I had some issues with. I mean, I think he makes a better Mycroft than any of the things he's written. Honestly,
I prefer Stephen Fry as Mycroft.
He also makes a good Iron Banker. Head of the Iron Bank. For people who watch Game of Thrones.
Um.
No, sorry.
mm.
I don't.
You
Although
wish, yeah.
if I start reading that Doctor Who Game of Thrones crossover fiction, I might. It might be my gateway drug. I just started reading it because it's the 6th Doctor and Perry, so it's like
You can stop
wow.
whenever you want.
the thing about looking, as I noticed looking at this episode, so far this is Moffat's 4th episode of Doctor Who, not counting parodies, specials, etc., short stories, etc., etc. And in each one at this point, he's managed to create a unique, memorable, and scary monster that really has nothing to do with the plot and is there essentially to make the episode entertaining and scary.
Although I would argue that the monster for this particular episode comes in the form of the suits with skeletons in them, which they have done the space suits before in Doctor Who
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
almost as
but
much success,
yeah, the
if not
skeleton
more.
suits aren't really what do this to me. It's the unseen horror of the Vashta Nerada, the bits where
True.
they're like your shadows. Those are what makes the
Yeah,
Vashta Nerada scary to me. I actually find the "who puts the lights out" suit to be kind of campy.
Yeah,
right.
it is a little silly.
That's
But
that's that's like during the scene when like he was standing there and like the shadow tendrils were reaching toward the doctor, and I'm just like, yeah, probably
that's where you
not
sit
the
there and
most
start
effective
snickering.
scene with
Yeah,
them. Like it's not.
it's not
There
even
are
the
worse
spacesuits that are
things,
bad.
but
It's
yeah.
the extra things that attach to them.
Yeah,
Mm.
the shadow tendrils I didn't mind
Mm,
No,
because
I'm not saying I mind. I'm just saying like it wasn't. It wasn't what made the Vashta Nerada scary. Like the
yeah.
idea that a shadow might touch the doctor was not the scary thing about it.
mm,
Now, the Vashta Nerada is something that really should have returned, especially when they talk about every planet. You know, even if it was just like one during, for example, Name of the Doctor was essentially a montage of Moffat era monsters.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been great to just why is it so dark in there? Don't go in there. Why? Look at what happened to the last person that did, and leave it at that, and for type of deal.
And
yeah,
then you look in there, and there's like a couple of different skeletons, and maybe even an eaten out Dalek or something.
Yeah,
I actually prefer the Vashta Nerada over the Weeping Angels.
I
So
agree.
so.
Yeah,
I would honestly say at this point that in each episode, Moffat has gotten a step closer to creating that returning memorable monster. I mean, the Empty Child was good, but you could never use him again.
Mm-hmm.
The Clockwork Androids were okay, but using them again would be questionable at best, especially
You'd have to come up with the right excuse to bring them back, especially to bring them back looking
uh,
exactly like that.
the Weeping Angels were okay, but they were very easy to jump the shark with, and that happened quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas the Vashta Nerada is something I could really see coming back, on a not a regular basis, but as often as the Great Intelligence or as often as the Ice Warriors, and or should I say as often as the Ice Warriors were, or and still keep their punch.
yeah.
As long
So
as
where did he?
as long as every episode doesn't have someone yelling "Who turned out the lights?"
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the scary part that I'm thinking is that if he did it again, that would be immediately where he goes. Then let's see. Where did he go after this? He went to the 11th
uh,
hour where you had Prisoner Zero.
which
Mm-hmm.
was essentially a one-time villain.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the Beast Below, there were the Smilers, which was a failed attempt, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. They were not very scary.
Yeah,
They
the
they were
Smilers did
kind
not
they were
threaten
they
me
were
that
really
much.
campy.
They were scary enough for the trailer, but not the episode.
Yeah.
And then of course he brings back the Weeping Angels in Time of Angels,
Yeah.
Flesh and Stone. Then he has a montage, but
It brings
no
back
really
every
new
every
villain.
monster, yeah, every monster in Doctor Who history with nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
And
Christmas
and
Carol.
and
He
then the
brought back
silent. Oh yeah,
then yeah
I skipped that.
the sharks, and then the
Yep.
silence
And
was
then
the
what would later become known as the Silent Priests that were pretty damn effective in their first appearance, but then when they got roped into everything else, they kind of just became weird and
that's
almost.
kind of what happens with Moffat is he introduces a creature good.
Especially like making those creatures into priests. Kind of, I don't know. I like just the way they move and the way they like. You kind of get a pedophiliac kind of reading.
Well, they're essentially like Slender Man is where they kind of take up was that take off of that. If you know what Slender Man is, Bill.
Yes.
Yes, just thought I'd check.
I'm just thinking of the scene with the silent priests and Clara, if it
Mhm.
was an actual kid that was coming to church to confess. And it's really disturbing.
Yeah. Um.
Or maybe that was the point.
Might have been.
Might have been.
And then, yeah, he hasn't. I mean, then he had, the snowmen, which were essentially the Great Intelligence. He hasn't really come up with anything really creative since then.
Yeah,
So
since then he brought back the Great Intelligence and Snowmen. He brought back the Zygons.
he brought back the Ice
He brought back
Warriors.
the Daleks.
He didn't
Well, no,
write that one, but
well,
he was part of the creative team that said, yeah, we're going to be bringing back the Ice Warriors.
yeah, I was gonna say yeah, he didn't write it, but yeah, it was part of right.
Um, yeah, so he hasn't really brought anything new to the scene in a while.
Yeah,
I'm still of the opinion that Moffat should have left with Tennant.
you mean Smith?
Or with Smith, yeah. Just the way that Russell left
Like,
with
granted,
with,
he
with
he, he could have left with Tennant, but
Well, yeah, I'm actually of the opinion he should have left with Tennant. But yeah, but more on a rational level, he should have. The fact that Smith was leaving, he should have taken that point to take a bow and
Hmm.
pass the torch to whoever it is. Or maybe it's the problem is that he's still looking for somebody capable of passing said torch to.
Yeah,
He's
Well,
looking.
because
He's,
his current
he's
round
looking
of
at
guys
Gaddis and
aren't the
going, "You're not
greatest.
ready, son."
yeah, I was gonna say it might mean he agrees with us about Gaddis.
So he's maybe still looking for somebody or praying that the BBC might find somebody worthy of it too.
Yeah, but no, the Vashta Narada, in my opinion, is probably the best attempt the best villain he had to be a reoccurring monster.
Hmm.
I agree.
Hmm.
One of the better ones, yes. And sadly, he decided to go with the Angels and then ruin them utterly.
Yep. Yeah, the Vashta Narada are just the horror of like the doctor says, everybody has this little hidden fear of the dark. Um, and that's what the Vashta Narada is essentially preying on is that fear of the dark. So that's kind of nice.
Hmm.
It's a nice behind the sofa monster because it's even worse than the horror you see is the horror you don't see.
Right.
And it's a damn shame he hasn't brought those back. I'm really hoping that when
Oh.
Moffat does step down, he will at least continue to write the odd episode.
Uh,
Not,
I've, oh yeah. Okay, so you're saying like sort of doing a Robert Holmes type of deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like, I have an
Yeah.
idea for an episode. You want
Actually,
it?
come to think of it, let's see. Whitaker did the same thing. Did Dix write any episodes after he was no longer?
I think so. Either that or he focused entirely on the Target
Oh yeah,
novelizations.
he might have done only
He was still
novelization.
extensively involved with Doctor Who after he left.
True. Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping Moffat kind of stays with us here, but not as a showrunner.
Yeah, definitely not a showrunner
So
anymore.
I've got a question actually, harkening back to something we were talking about earlier. You were mentioning of the guy in the skeleton in the spacesuit was kind of campy. Now,
Mhm.
when the Vashta Narada started talking with its own voice, and it
That was
became
creepy.
just the menacing skeleton guy threatening the Doctor. Okay.
That the Vashta Narada voice was creepy. It was the repeating, who put the lights out as the monsters doing the
Oh,
zombie
yeah.
chase. That was campy as hell.
Hmm.
I feel like it's a callback to something, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
Again, the astronaut suit thing with
No, I'm,
mysterious
I'm, I'm
creatures
talking about
is a previous
I'm,
Doctor
I'm
thing.
talking about the lumbering monster that you can tell that it's nearby because it has an audio cue that it can't control. But I can't quite put my finger on it.
Lots of horror creatures have that technically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it came from somewhere first, and I can't quite.
I know
name
in
that.
recent
Can't quite
history
put a name
before
to it.
this, in the 90s, we had the Velociraptor from the first Jurassic Park.
Maybe
No.
quite
They,
they
they,
want-
they would try. There was a couple sequences where they were sneaking, and the big giveaway was the clicking of its toes, because it had this one toe of a nervous tweak. It would have a silent footstep,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, tap, 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 tap.
Um. And it's not even that. That scene could have even been made far more menacing if the phrase that that was being said was not "Hey, who put out the lights?"
I kind of think that was essentially put in there to keep the episode from crossing the limit to what was considered too scary for children's television.
Oh,
Probably.
I would have loved it if it was, something a little was a little more frightening.
Yeah, if at that point the Vashta would have already taken over and started talking on its own
I'm
terms.
not even talking about talking on its own. I'm talking about a different, slightly less cheesy um, reuse line. If the
I'm
soup monster
I'm
lumbering
picturing
after.
I'm kind of picturing if the next person had become the soup monster, or like it was just one of the lines where she's like, or like like maybe the line where she's like, I forget the exact phrasing of the line, but it's essentially, I'm dying, I'm not overreacting, I'm only crying, and if something like that became what was just like
that
became
that that
the
would that would
chant.
almost be melancholy wrong, but even if it was just the "I can't see anything," which he said about the same time as "Hey, who put out the lights,"
Yeah,
I that would have made the monster creepier. Just the fact that the "Hey, who put out the lights" is such a goony thing to say.
yeah.
I think that would have made it better. Okay, so the various characters we met. We have, of course, River Song appearing for the first time, and you notice now that you've seen this and you've seen River Song in like most of the Moffat eras, and now you've gone back and watched this. Do you agree with me? She is nowhere near as over the top as she became during the Moffat era.
Basically, anytime where it's late River, by which I mean Angels Take Manhattan, this story, uh, Name of the Doctor. There might be one or two others where where she's getting on toward the end of her life. She's not as bad as when she's younger in the
Mm.
character. Of course, it's a little hard to tell, obviously, because it's the same actress,
Yeah,
essentially the same age playing her every time. But I do think that Alex Kingston really puts a weight onto the age when she's acting in terms of you can tell by the way she talks and the way she moves whether this is pre-wedding River, post-wedding River, or end of her life River.
A little bit. And again, I wouldn't blame the actress. We're not blaming the actress at all
Right.
for the way River
no,
Song turns out. We're blaming Moffat solely on this.
yes, we point the
Oh no,
finger at both
I wasn't.
Stephen.
I wasn't blaming her or anything. I was just pointing out the range she shows within one character
Yeah.
really
If
makes a
there's
difference.
anybody I owe a good kick in the dick, it's Moffat.
Most seriously, oh, a real life kick in the dick if we ever find that bastard.
It's like, hey, you're Stephen Moffat. Yeah. Why did you kick me in the dick?
That's for fucking up Doctor Who! And this one's just for me! Punch!
That's for River Song. That's for not editing Journey to the Center of the TARDIS.
That's for Larry and Sally.
And this is for
That's for
Tom Tom!
that's for making the Doctor face his death so many times.
Hey, if we're gonna blame someone for Tom Tom, we should rightfully blame Gaddis.
Yes, Gats gets a kick in the dick for that one.
Although I don't know if I'd want to kick Mycroft Holmes in the dick. Like things could happen. You might disappear.
Oh,
You might never be seen again.
Are you saying he's made of fairy dust here, Bill?
No,
no,
I'm.
he's saying he's well connected.
Oh!
Yeah,
He's Mycroft Holmes, man.
he is
Freaking
the
like
government.
yes.
You're saying you're never
You've
gonna be
heard
seen
you've
again.
heard of MI5, MI6, James Bond, Matt? They answer to Mycroft.
As I was saying, oh, you meant that you're going to disappear, Bill, not that that person's going to disappear. Gotcha.
Whoever kicks him will.
Yeah, whoever kicks him will disappear.
Because you get taken away by a young Sean Connery with a gun.
Expect me to talk. Oh, I expect you to die. Boom.
Oh, man.
Now, I'm trying to think. I know there were a couple other things relating to Moffat's previous episodes I wanted to bring up here. One thing that's worth mentioning, it's probably pretty easy to notice, the end harkens back a lot to the end of the Doctor Dances.
Yes, it very does. This is
It
another
quotes
everyone
directly a
lives
couple
everyone.
times. Yeah.
Every now and then, the Doctor gets those everybody lives moments.
Every once in a while, yes.
And this is kind of one of those moments, because people did die, but they were saved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although it's notable that the ones that died while the Doctor was there were only saved as part of the program. They're not among the ones that came back.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like they could use it to reincorporate their bodies. It'd be interesting. It'd be a bit Star Trek-y.
Yes, it would be, actually.
Don't give Moffat this idea, because he will think about using some kind of matter beam, and it's just hello, sweetie.
Fuck me! That's it, Moffat. Game over. You lose. Fuck this show.
And yeah, at that point, there's like 50 fanboys flying to England to kick Stephen Moffat in the dick.
50 fanboys. You mean every airline will be flooded with fanboys with torches and pitchforks, and they're gonna raid the BBC until they find Moffat.
All right, here comes the line to kick Stephen Moffat in the dick. Line up and take your number.
The line is going around the block already. Get ready, Stephen. You're gonna be feeling it in the morning.
I hope you had as many kids as you ever wanted to have, Stephen, because, yeah.
And I hope you're wearing a cup, because that thing's gonna be worn out by the end of the day.
Yeah, if he ever did, subvert the River Song death, I think things would get a little pissy.
There would be a purge.
Well, especially since we do know that she becomes a ghost
Yeah.
in the past, future, time-traveling, wibbly-wobbly Moffat time sense.
Yeah, but mind you, Moffat still has a season of Capaldi to do it, too.
Mm.
And there were rumors that Alex Kingston was coming back sometime this season.
Yeah, but that would probably be... That would not be post-death River, probably. It would probably be before that, like something set before Angels.
Sadly,
Or
most likely.
or shortly after.
Maybe we'll have to figure out what he does there.
Are there any episodes in season 8 set in the 51st century?
We haven't seen all the listings of where stuff is yet.
But I mean, I don't think any of the ones we've talked about were in the 51st century, were they?
No, but I do remember hearing the rumor that Alex Kingston was coming back.
Yes. It was
Right.
definitely a large rumor, and even Matt Smith was kind of like, Moffat,
Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't. Yeah.
Mhm.
Come on, Moffat, just lay that one to rest already. Oh.
Now, the thing with River in this episode, and I've got to say, a lot of the things that I complained about way back before we knew who, or at least before I knew who River Song was going to become, are still things that annoy me when I look at them, but they're much easier not to look at when I know what's going to come later. The way she talks about how 10 is essentially just a baby doctor getting ready for 11. That's still annoying, but it's easier to overlook when you know how her and 11 end up together. You know, how their life is.
Yeah.
It's essentially the girlfriend.
It's also
Talking
from
about
her
Capaldi.
perspective.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that basically, if you look at her life, 11 is her doctor.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking back at 10, and yeah, she's seeing his eyes younger than he's ever been before. And of
Mhm.
course, the doctor at the same time is looking at this of, I'm 900 some years old. I've seen a lot of very bad things. I'm not young.
Right.
This lady's a
So
little cuckoo.
yeah, well, that's what he seems to be like. Is who the fuck is she? No, she's being a little presumptuous here. And then of course she, whispers his name in his ear. We know it's his name now.
Mm-hmm.
He says it's his name, and yet the whole name thing is, because he never does really tell her his name on screen.
Yes, I think he does. He whispers it at I think the wedding of
He
River Song.
he whispers, "Look into my eyes," and then says,
Mm.
"I just told you my name."
Ah. So maybe his name is Look Into My Eyes.
Oh, speaking of which, did I close the link? Um, yeah, I closed the link, but apparently Moffat replied in some sort of. Apparently it was a joke, but he said the doctor's name was Mildred or something like that. This was a recent thing during an interview.
Yeah, he was trolling.
He's trolling,
Yeah.
obviously.
I mean, granted, Moffat is known for trolling. He and Colin Baker should start a show.
The
It's
Doctor
the
Trolls.
Muffet and Baker Show. And the sign-in thing is just the troll face sign.
Doctor Who's a troll.
Moffat and Baker troll it'd be like frickin' like Candid Camera all over again. With Colin Baker as Alan Funt and Moffat being the director. We've hidden.
We've locked all the windows and doors in Colin Baker's house again. He got a new DVD. Let's watch. Please don't try to escape.
We've secretly replaced the waiter of this restaurant with Colin Baker using his asshole doctor persona. Let's see if they notice.
Oh, you got a dirty fork. Would you like a dirty knife then?
Now, regarding River and what's to come, I've got to say, listening to the soundtrack of this episode, you have to wonder just how long it was in production, because you kind of get the idea that Murray Gold must have known that the Doctor was going to have a new theme song coming at some point in the future and have it composed in order to sample it into this episode.
I didn't hear it. I was listening for it.
It was during Forest of the Dead. There were a few scenes, essentially when like there were the Doctor Badass moments. It was mixed in with the rest of the music. It wasn't the actual "I am the Doctor" dun 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 in full power, but it was clearly a sample. Clearly
You,
going
are
to
you,
resemble it.
you think you're wondering if you might be thinking about it backwards? When he wrote the I Am the
You
Doctor
think he
theme
wrote?
two
You
years
think he
later, he
wrote
took
this?
that theme and resampled it and expanded it into the I Am the Doctor
Oh,
theme?
yeah. Never thought of
It's
that.
possible.
Because a lot of composers
I just feel like it would be
base their
strange
work
for.
on stings that they've used
It
in
makes
previous work.
sense, but it feels strange that this would be the specific episode that he would have gone out of his way to create new music that he then thought later on, to
Why?
do
He
that
probably
for.
looked back at all the music he did for stuff Stephen Moffat wrote.
Mm.
He probably
Which
might
is
have
more
gone
likely,
back
yeah.
and taken a look at the whole body of his work, listened to it, and said, "Hey, I like that."
Or more, I should say,
Let's
like,
do
why,
something with
why
that.
specifically was that soundtrack only in this episode and not in other Series
Because
4
he
episodes?
he writes a lot of stuff for specific scenes.
And for specific episodes.
Now, that said, there's definitely a scene that sounds like he's sampling the music from Burton's Batman.
I didn't hear that either.
I
I
don't. Yeah.
I feel like they were going down a lift or something, but you hear the dun 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 dun. I don't know if I'm doing it right, but
You mean?
Like
I didn't hear that. I did not hear that. That might have been in your head, Bill.
Yeah, I don't know.
if
It
next
was
time
much more blatant in the Wolfman if it was
next
there.
next time I watch the episode, I'll get the timestamp of what I'm talking about.
You do that, and I will listen to it, and I will tell you if I hear that or if you are just absolutely nuts. Mind you,
Like,
I listen to a lot of the soundtrack music repeatedly, so I know most of the stings where they come from
mhm.
um, in his music because
And
he
like, and
does
granted,
take.
it might just be something that's very widespread, that is very prominent in the Batman theme, but is also in many other things that he just happened to use also.
It's
I'm not
possible.
I'm
And
not
it's
necessarily saying
orchestral,
he
you
was.
know.
I'm not necessarily saying he specifically put it there as a ripoff of Batman. I'm just saying it stood out to me as that is where I recognized it from.
Yeah, it just hits me as odd. So, Donna, you know what? What is it, Doctor? I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
No, no, that was a
I'm not the
previous.
doctor the galaxy chose, but I'm the doctor the galaxy needs.
Wrong Batman.
No,
I'm just going with it though.
Batman met the Ninth Doctor.
I'm Batman. I'm the doctor.
Or was that
Nice
Rorschach?
meeting you.
It almost should be one of those. What is that? That whole cafe thing that those guys do on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
How should have
That
ended?
I think it's the How It Should Have Ended guys.
Yeah, they have the Hero Cafe, and they recently did the Villain Bar, I believe.
I think the Doctor actually did show up in one of those recently.
I think so too.
I think they had Matt Smith show up when they did the movie version of the 50th anniversary. I think they did it for Doctor Who week. I think I remember being mildly amused.
Um, anybody else? Anything else anybody wants to bring up?
Yeah. Um, the face bits. Um, Again, this was kind of I had mentioned earlier that it felt a little bit. I had mentioned it during Girl in the Fireplace that Moffat has a little thing for using human parts as parts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it just shows its head here.
There's also
Wah,
a little
wah,
girl
wah.
in this one too.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Thank you so much for reminding me. Anyone else, when looking at this, thought about how the little girl was acting near the end and thought she kind of reminded me a little bit of a young Clara?
Not
She reminded
sure.
me of a young Amy Pond.
Well, it's a Moffat female.
Yeah, it's a young Moffat female, so
So, it's
Like
pretty
the
much
Yeah.
you
You
can.
Came Back kind of look.
It's. I don't know. It's the.
I was kind of thinking about the fact that I remember Blink. They specifically aged the protagonist because they said kids don't want to watch other kids act, and then they put this girl in here, and I'm like, I'd say she did a pretty damn good job, but
Oh, yeah.
why did he change his mind?
I think he just
Moffat.
bullshits, to be honest. It's like, why did you age that up? The real answer is because Moffat wanted her to be sexy.
Yeah. Because Moffat wanted something to
don't-
fap to at
I don't
night.
remember Sally Sparrow being particularly sexy one way or another. Unless it was just me, like I didn't notice anything like that about her.
I mean, she wasn't overly sexy. I'm just saying it's because, um, he wanted to try to add some little bit of sex appeal to it.
Ah,
And here, the whole concept is they wanted the computer to be something little and cute. So,
mhm. Something that needed protecting by her family
yes,
member.
correct.
Something for the Doctor to be the big giant friendly whale over.
I really liked Dr. Moon.
Yeah.
I like how he was presented. I liked how kind of creepy he was.
Is
And then you
he
forgot. And then
is
you
he the guy
remembered.
from the End of Time or no? I know his face like rings a bell. And
Yeah, I know. It does.
or
It's
is
been
is he from
bothering
or is he
me.
from Arrow?
Look
He
him
might
up.
be from Arrow because I think that actor
Might be the husband
isn't.
from Arrow.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, let me see. Who played him? Um,
Look him up, but do be quick about it. We are slowly
I
winding out of
know.
our
I'm
time.
I'm keeping an
Yeah.
eye on it. It
His name is
actually.
Colin Salmon. Let's see what his IMDb credits are. He played Walter Steele in Arrow. That's
Okay, but I swear when he first showed up, he was familiar too. What was he in prior to Silence of the Library, Forest of the Dead? Anything of note?
He plays Charles Robinson in 3 of the James Bond films.
I was
Oh.
never a big Bond fan.
Hmm.
that
Neither
was
was
that
I.
was
Yeah, neither am
apparently
I.
that was apparently his only Doctor Who role.
I'm not
Um,
looking Doctor Who.
Just
right,
anything of
right.
note.
Prime Suspect 2.
He was in Secret
Bad
Diary of a
Girls.
Call Girl, so he might have acted alongside Billy Piper. Who knows?
Doesn't help me here.
He
um,
was in Resident Evil and Aliens vs.
yeah, I
Predator.
was gonna say he was in
It might have been Aliens versus Predator.
Oh, yeah. That might have done it.
Alien versus Predator. Aliens
What
He
was
was
versus
what was
also
his
on
name?
Law and Order.
It might
Maxwell
have been
Staff.
Law and Order. What?
Uh, in AVP,
Colin?
he
What?
was Maxwell Staff. Oh, his real name? Colin
Yeah,
Salmon. Like, spelled like the fish.
Colin. Sorry, what was that?
Salmon spelled like the fish.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got Colin, Sam, and then you cut out for a moment in my head.
Ah.
He was also in Dinotopia.
He was an episode of Tales from the Crypt.
It's...
A lot of really interesting people were in Tales from the Crypt.
Hmm He's currently in 24 Live Another Day.
Okay.
Ugh.
The increasingly poor decisions of Todd Margaret.
Okay.
Merlin.
Anyway, yeah, it just his face looked familiar, and now I know why I was getting massive deja vu when watching Arrow.
Blood the Last Vampire. Punisher Warzone.
Wow,
But
he's
yeah,
in a
he
ton
was
of
kind of
stuff.
creepy. At first, you think he's just part of the system, and then he tells her, yeah, everything that you're thinking is a mental fantasy
yeah,
is
so
actually
so
real.
then so then you think he's like, a hero, like he's trying, he's on the doctor's side,
And
and
then
then
you
then
come
you get
back in
all of his
part
stuff with
two, and
Donna.
yeah,
Yeah, he's really and the thing is, he's completely incidental to the story, and the only thing that would happen if you cut him is the story would probably be 15 minutes shorter. Now it's a good 15 minutes worth watching, but it's
mm-hmm,
part of that stuff that's there to pad it into a two-parter.
correct.
Hmm
Mm-hmm.
I still like it though.
Yeah,
Um,
It's a
and like
definition
there,
of good padding.
yeah, and see
Yes, it's the
that's
definition of good padding, whereas bad
it's
padding
right.
would be sandstorm or
It's
rock
it's the
climbing.
thing, as people who've seen both well-paced long stories and poorly paced long stories, we can sit here and say, okay, that's there, so this is a two-parter, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be taken out. So is that.
yep.
That should probably have been cut. Type. Like I could probably tell you. If you gave me time to sit down like 20 minutes to sort it out, I could or probably even less. I could tell you which scenes I would keep and which I would remove if this was a one-part episode.
Okay, but we are now up against the point where we will usually start doing our final thoughts.
Just about, yes.
Just about, yeah.
So I would like to mention a couple other things. River Song to Donna Noble. In the end of it, she does give a little hint that she doesn't outright state it.
She pretty much says this is Donna's only season.
Yep. It's like, but I know him in the future. But where am I? Where am I in all this? And she just silences.
She
Um,
knows.
at the
It's
same
not
time,
happening.
there's something on your back, which was the recurring theme
That's
from this,
yeah.
which is turn
There,
left.
there are actually moments where that really could have been like when she went into that. That actually could have been like when she was in the computer. She could have been jarred out of it by what was her name, Miss Annalise or something like that. Is that
Uh-huh.
what she's called? She could have been like, and by the way, there's something on your back. What is that? And Donna would
Yeah.
be like, oh, there's nothing on my back, and that would have been like distracting her and cause her to realize that she's in an illusion type of deal.
Yeah, Donna doesn't really handle that very well, does she?
Not really.
Yeah, because I mean, she's get the reveal. She's starting to go along with it, and then the kid scrapes a knee, and she pretty much goes into heavy denial, pretty
Yeah.
much right up until the end.
And then and then
Which,
but then she tricks herself into believing that it's fake. But like then I'm never going to close my eyes again. So the brain's like, okay, you don't believe they're really there, so they're gone. Which that actually rings a bell because that was something I was going to bring up. Um, the Moffat has a few stories where the memory and the mind makes reality what it is, and of course this is less so because it's in a simulation, but it's a little bit of what we see with the Big Bang, a little bit of what we see with Asylum of the Daleks. I think there's a few other examples where the memory and the idea of what reality is shaping
is
what
shaped
actually
by
is
the
reality.
people that, yeah, are within it. I wonder if Stephen Moffat ever played Mage the Ascension.
And actually, that's a little bit related to the Empty Child, in that these nanogenes thinking their memory of what a human is shaping what humans become.
Yeah. No, I was just saying I wondered if Stephen Moffat ever played Mage the Ascension, because that is actually one of the core things in Mage the Ascension, is that reality is achieved by the belief of the consensus.
Isn't that what orcs in Warhammer 40k are like?
I don't know. Never played 40K.
Orcs just believe that things should work a certain way, and because of magical wibbly wobbly chaos, it does.
So, Melky physics. Gotcha. But no. Basically, Mage has it, whereas reality itself, gravity only works because everybody believes gravity works. For example. That's kind of the way mages are able to work in that, is because they're able to actually think outside the box, so to speak. Okay, I think we should probably get to final thoughts here.
Yep.
Okay, so, Aaron, final thought.
Final thought?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's incredibly creepy. I would almost say this was scarier for me than Blink. Like, Blink actually had, the kind of cutesy appeal of Sally Sparrow. This was a little bit darker. I was also, when I first saw it, I was kind of annoyed at Riversong, and now my annoyance has been kind of tempered. I actually have come to enjoy her as a character. In fact, I actually looked forward to her in Name of the Doctor.
I don't mean to
But time
interrupt.
to shut up.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I like how you and I both felt the same toward River in this episode. In terms of being annoyed by her and then growing on her, but for probably exact opposite reasons. Because for me, it was being a David Tennant fanboy, which I'm pretty sure is not the case with you.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice to have someone else. Like, it was nice to have a character that wasn't so enthused as they weren't so much into the Tennant Doctor. She's like, well, you're not my doctor, or something like that, or she kind of insults him, and I was kind of a little bit happy with that. I'm like, okay. I don't feel so left out anymore. River Song agrees with me. Alright, that's it.
Okay. Matt?
Um, I definitely like some of the stuff they have going on here. This is definitely a fairly solid two-parter, and it's a little bit better than some of the previous work. The monster in particular is a little bit better done, although there are some campy moments with it. But if it was allowed, if the creature was allowed to come back for a sequel, we could probably find a way to work around those problems. First of all, not having a suit that talks would eliminate a lot of the camp.
All right.
But
That it, Matt?
for overall, yeah, it's just a generally pretty decent episode. Decent
All right.
two-parter.
Bill?
Well, originally watching this episode, I was distracted by what I saw as overly heavy-handed foreshadowing of, the season ending with Donna, and of, the idea that the next Doctor will be superior to Tennant, and so what that ended up resulting in was me largely seeing this as a poor episode with some good things, uh, because it did distract me from some of the things that seem convoluted if you're distracted, and make a bit more sense if you're able to watch it clearly. Rewatching it, I would still, I would pretty much kind of reverse that to being a good episode with some annoying things. By the Donna foreshadowing being a little heavy-handed. I missed a lot of the foreshadowing of what would become the Moffat era. And looking at that, there's some really good work in there.
Okay. I myself, this is my favorite, or my second favorite of the four of Stephen Moffat Tennant era, or RTD era shows. The first being the original Eccleston Empty Child Doctor Dances. So this is my favorite of the three Tennants, I should say. I really love this episode. I thought the Vashton Dorada was a great, creepy monster. The Doctor gets a few epic moments in here. All in all, this was one of the highlights for me this season. Or this particular series. So, yeah, points. We'll start with Aaron.
I really, really like this one. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars.
Okay. Matt?
Actually, I was thinking 4.5 too originally, so yeah, 4.5.
Bill?
I don't know if I'd go as far as 4.5. I think I'm going to say 4 stars.
I'm going to agree with Bill and say 4 stars. I gave The Empty Child Doctor Dances 4.5, and as I said, I like it better than this. I will, however, say it's damn close.
So what do we have? 2 4s and 2 4.5s? Is that right?
It's 4.25 is what the average is.
Yeah.
4.25. Can we all live with that?
I think we can.
Okay. Awesome. So, that should wrap it up for Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead. Tune in to us next week as we will move into Matt Smith's era. We are skipping the 11th hour because we've reviewed it before. That is on our active list of episodes, is it not?
Yes, it is.
I believe it should be, yes.
Okay, I know there's a few that have been lost. We've lost episodes, just like Doctor Who. Hey!
I think the only one that's completely lost is Victory of the Daleks, because I think we reviewed that in the same episode as the 11th hour, and the first half was essentially savable and the second half was not.
Yeah, that was back when we were doing multiples at once. And I
think that was the only time we really did 2 at once, and it ended up just...
No, we were doing it a little bit elsewhere, but... Because there were times where we just couldn't meet. So I think we also did like Rings of Cotton and...
Oh yeah, that was because of some of the Series 7 episodes, yeah, we did a couple
Yeah,
of
it's happens sometimes during the main line when we just can't podcast, but
Right.
we are trying to avoid that. Just
when
saying.
possible.
It,
Yep.
it might
So
it
what are
might
we
happen.
watching?
Next
Sorry,
week we
what?
will be watching
The Beast Below.
Okay.
The Beast Below. I'd forgotten about that one. Yep.
Yep. The
So-
Beast Below.
Yeah, I thought we were going straight to the ones with the angels. I'd forgotten about the Beast Below. So, we
No,
will
not
see
yet.
you next week for Series 5, The Beast Below. And Matt gets ever closer to having to watch Series 6.
Oh, fuck, Series 6.
I thought it was Series 7 that everyone hated.
Oh.
Matt's never seen. I dislike Series 6 myself because
Yeah.
there are nice parts of it, but the main plot of it is so river centric. I
The
despise
Moffat
it.
episode, you mean? Because
Yeah.
I don't think she appears in a single. Has she ever appeared in an episode he didn't write?
Yeah, but it was a Gaddis, so.
Which episode was that?
I'm trying to remember. It was one, I think. Actually, I'd have to take a look. You might be right. She didn't. I thought she had appeared in a Gaddis, but no. Moffat may have handled all of hers personally. I'll take a look later. Anyway, we will see you next time.
Good night.
Peace out.
Till next time.